Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. So, second video on the problems of Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Interesting enough, I think this one is the one who I should have started the video, because the class system was a little bit of a rage fest. Interesting enough, I always gonna be a little bit on the rage in my videos, but this one was a little bit of fucking nightmare. Now, again, I'm gonna be trying to keep the same structure here. First, identify the problem. Second, trying to put a reasonable spin and maybe find a way to implement the system in a reasonable and sensible way. Last but not least, I'm gonna give a conclusion and the final thoughts about it. So the information we know about the loot tier, or the tiered loot system, is very few and far between. The first one is Ubisoft said the damage values of a gun will not be affected. Second, we know the name of the tier, the green tier, is uncommon. Instead of, like, for example, the division, we'll call standard. Last but not least, they said most of the people who play the game for 15 minutes said they will have being dropped from bosses or mini bosses, which on itself is already a little bit of a problem. I don't think I like the idea of bosses and mini bosses, depending on how they will be implemented in the game. Because in the way that we are getting, it's kind of go for like a Far Cry New Dawn style of thing, or Far Cry itself, because there is not many ways so you can create a boss battle. For example, the guy on the demo, it's called the Flycatcher. The only way that I can see a boss fight is he send a waves of drones, you have to kill the drones, then he gonna pop, you're gonna shoot him, you're gonna have a time to shoot while he's like arming the next drones. If you don't, hints and repeat until you're able to like flank him enough, flank into a position where you can shoot, or you will arrive to the position where he is, since he will be in one position of the camp and you will be in the opposite. There is some point that you can do, but since enemies in theory will not have a bullet sponge nature, like one or two shots in the head supposedly to kill people, it can be a little bit of a strange way. They can do on fully mechanic based boss fights, for example, artillery drones passing, the boss moving, the boss turning invisible, which still not my favorite, but okay. So, boss is gonna drop. One thing, I really wish the people who got their hands on the demo, the alpha footage, for this moment, I know Xbox Central, PC Games and Terra Mantis are three of the persons that I can say with certain, because those are people who come out forward and said we were on the event, we got our hands on. These are the people who I wish could say if the name of the guy who dropped the weapon is, for example, the name of after the weapon. Living on the screen right now, you see one of the comments about it, and you can see the weapon carries a name. If this is the name of the boss they fought. Second, that's a second problem, is because nobody's telling, and I don't know if that is because they were unable to see the weapon, the visual of the weapon, or if because there is not a different from original version. What I mean by it, or for example, they wasn't even able to equip the weapon. They said they weren't able to see the stat of the weapon. That doesn't yet mean they couldn't see the weapon equipped. So at this point, I will come out and put for a more literally approach for the situation. The weapon doesn't look aesthetically different from the normal version of the weapon. And for the video of Terramentis, I do believe he said the weapon was a P90. So, at this point, what we know is weapons drop from bosses or mini bosses, this rarity weapons. You still can pick up weapons from normal grunts. The rarity may or may not be cosmetic, mostly because of the fact that it was not pointed out by any of the people who got hands-on with the game. Last but not least, Ubisoft came out and said the rarity will not affect the damage value of the weapon. Again, I said that on, I think was the Ramblings of a Madman video. Even if they don't, and a lot of people are coming forward and take that with a grain of salt and saying, I got this information is being spread on both Reddit comments and tweets on any Ghost Recon related thing, then we're gonna get the difference will be like magazine size, recoil, or rate of fire. Everyone, no matter what, these things kind of affect damage. So, but as I said, take that part of a grain of salt. In the end, I will still believe that the tier loot system is a detriment for the game. If it's random, what we will get, we're going to be having a game that is spat out because RNG bullshit, and we already know Ubisoft RNG bullshit is garbage. If it is cosmetic, expect a lot of loot boxes and things like that to happen because, well, that's Ubisoft. Second, as far on the cosmetic side, is a very interesting point. The reward program already implements 2 weapons, like exclusive weapons. The first one being the El Sueño weapon. If you beat the game, you get that. I don't know if it's you beat the game or you kill El Sueño. Both of those are the same. You get a weapon. The second one is if you complete the mission crossover from Rainbow Six Siege Ghost Recon Wildlands, you get a weapon with a paint job. That is a very interesting because it goes in a different form. For example, the Ghost Recon Future Soldiers / Ghost Recon Wildlands crossover, where if you complete that mission, you get the paint job that is shown. That I'm gonna leave in the description the link for the Ubisoft Reward Club or whatever they are calling this thing where you play the game, you get stuff. I'm gonna leave a description and probably on this part of the video you will be seeing it. Okay. Cosmetic, we can kind of throw a little bit of aside mostly by the fact of Ubisoft will probably want to sell the paint jobs and stuff like that. Not only that, but if it will only be cosmetic, it will not interest enough people to grind for it. And a loot system, mostly or not, is simply to pad out the time and then people are in the game. So, relative will need to be something like that, something like stats, and that will affect gameplay. And I was seeing on Reddit people saying, well, in some ways, the Wildlands has already had some of these. For example, there are assault rifles that are better than others, and for completing a boss or some challenge or activity, you end up getting a different weapon. As I said on the video before, if the only tier are standard, aka normal weapons, the normal ones, plus the boss weapons, I will be okay with it. But if that was the case, why your advertising has a loot system? You see, again, it doesn't hit the same as Wildlands had. So they are advertising as a new feature, but it's the same feature they had and they didn't advertise back then. It quite doesn't make that much sense. Okay, so the question is how they could implement this system in a more reasonable way. The answer is quite simple. Yeah, loot system, random drop could be a thing. Uh, you have X amount of crates around the game plus the amount of bosses. There's no duplicates. You cannot get the same weapon than you get on a crate or on a boss or whatever. And let's see. Crates would drop the civilian type of weapon. I don't know. Civilian grade. The standard weapon, and although a P90 is not a civilian, but you got my idea. The more commonly used weapons end up in this standard. The next grade would be the weapons used by the PMC. Above that, you would get the military grade weapons, and last but not least, the wolf weapons. If you see most of the trailers, the wolves are using bullpup rifles and weapons that have that more futuristic-ish, more high-tech look. So yeah, I can kind of see if that is the thing. But in the end of the game, if you don't have to grind your ass out. Like if you open all the crates, then you have on the game on the main storyline, you got access to all the weapons. If you kill all the bosses, you get all access of all that tier of weapons. If that's the fact, nah, okay. For example, and why that would be important. For example, bosses and mini bosses. If the mini bosses are kind of random generate like the division, not randomly generate because they aren't, but like bounties or stuff like that on the division, and they have like a cycle of weapons they can drop, then fine. I would not be that pissed off. And if you see, for example, this is a way for you to. I want to. This is my favorite weapon. For example, I not gonna lie, I enjoy a lot the HKG-23. It's one of my favorite assault rifles. I really like that rifle. So if I want to run the entire game with that fucking assault rifle, the easy way to get it is go and farm that character, or track those crates with those weapons. Then you can go get that weapon, find attachments for that weapon, and you will be a happy camper go nuts. I can see that going right, and I will, as I said, I would be okay with that. This is the most easy, sensible way to implement the loot drops. Tier the thing on civilian use. I don't know if that would be the way to put it. Like civilian use, PMC, military grade, and in the end the wolf type gear, wolf style gear. I don't fucking care. And in the end, all the weapons can be acquired on the game without any RNG bullshit, without any problem. Good. GG. Get ready for the next round. As a conclusion for this video, the tiered loot system is the easy way of this game not sucking or sucking hard dick. And it was the one that I should have started this series on, because it was the one who kinda have a more. I was able to maintain a more clear mind about it. Different than the class system. Oh god, how that was a shit show. But I still stand by the fact that if they just left the class system from Ghost Wars to Ghost Recon Breakpoint, it's gonna be a nightmare. I already not liking that much the fact that you cannot carry a second I don't know how to put it that, like a second primary weapon. Let's just use that term. I know during the class video I utilized the secondary weapon, like primary, secondary, and backup. But you would have said, then that's the thing. I'm not enjoying. Maybe, and that's just a maybe, it is a perk that you have to unlock. But again, this is me writing the game for the developer simply because I'm still hoping in God then we can unlock gadgets and things like that, like smoke bombs and things like that, outside our class during single player. Time and time again, the word is showing me a little bit less that, but yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. To conclude the video, it's as simple as this. Tier loot can suck ass or be tolerable. There's no middle ground here. Let's hope Ubisoft doesn't fuck that shit up. And, well, there's still a lot of other problems besides the ones that I having a gripe. I watched an interesting video about someone said that the weapons are not having a hit filling or things like that. I found that interesting. The fact is, I'm rewatching so many times the gameplay, that small tidbit of the gameplay for the edit of these videos, then I think I'm kind of growing a little bit desensitized to the way the weapons hit. And yeah, I agree when some people said Wildlands had a little bit of a, how can I say, paintball style of ballistics. Now, this finishes the video, and next one is gonna be the always online stuff. The always online stuff, there's no way in hell there's gonna be more sane than this. I don't know if we'll be sane enough. But, and a reasonable size but here, it's gonna be a lot more sane than the last video on the series. There will be the AI. Because the AI is a more of, like, the class system is a personal gripe, but the AI is hurting in my soul. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna be it, and I think I have to do a reaction for a fucking video that I'm watching, than I watched 5 minutes ago. That's not gonna be fun. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. This was the video. If you enjoyed, leave it a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike. If you have anything to say, please leave a comment. And if you want to see what the hell is gonna be coming next on this mess, subscribe. And see you guys on the next episode.